Good morning, and as you can tell from my voice, I am not Glenn, but this is Angel, FD, and Shaun this morning, coming to you on this Tuesday morning, which means we have Therapy Tuesday with Dr. Geraldine Tan, award-winning psychologist. Good morning, Dr. Jerry.
Good morning.
How are you?
And I've got 2 more awards from the SME. Yay!
Oh my goodness.
Good
Wow.
for you.
I'm sure you're running out of space on your awards shelf.
You can come and have a look yourself. Yes, partly, yes. You contributed to it.
Do you know that I still have not met Dr. Jerry in person?
Oh, yeah?
That's okay. I
Yeah.
haven't.
No, you haven't
haven't
either.
either.
Oh, wow. Well, we need to meet up soon.
Soon.
Don't
She's
worry,
very busy.
we won't try to sit on your couch. Glenn's not here, so you won't get any of that today. But today we will be talking about diversity or inclusivity, especially since it's Racial Harmony Day this Thursday.
Yes, it is. So it was kind of sparked off by my little girl and some of the colleagues who would say, maybe we should talk about diversity. And I was like, do you want to get me into trouble? Do you want to get all of us into trouble? But it is true. Even in psychology, we talk about, diversity. We talk about cultural diversity because we do a lot of cross-cultural work also. So that plays a big part of our work.
When it comes to diversity, is race a problem in Singapore now?
Well, we try to look at race and what the different races mean, right? So, if we look at diversity, then we think what are the words associated with it? Prejudice, biasness. And, it is not just race itself. It is so many other things, right? You have race, you have where you're from, origins. You have gender. You have culture, religion, education, finance, financial background, and even size.
Education as well?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Education as well is a big thing.
Yep. So how many times have we heard, or maybe I should use one of the examples that I always give my interns, where when I first started out in a voluntary organization, and the clients I deal with were from the lower socioeconomic status who didn't have access to maybe higher education. So one of the parents that I was dealing with shot me with, you think you go to university, you're so good, who are you to talk to me? And I was like, and I was fresh out of university, and that brought me close to tears because I didn't know what had warranted such a comment. Yeah. So yes, even educational background do cause a lot of divide.
Why is that? It seems to be, well, I don't know. I can't speak for other countries. I can speak for Australia and I can speak for Singapore. Why is it such a big thing in Singapore? I mean, there's so many other places in the world. Australia, I think, is one of them, I feel, is one of them where an honest day's work, an honest day's wage, and you're a good person. Why is that so different here?
I think, if we look at, and the sociologists can help me out with this, when we go all the way back, in order to survive, the way out and the way to survive is to have a good foundation in your education. So every parent wants to put the child through not only primary, but tertiary, but it has to be university education. And that's the base that many parents want to put the children through until.
Why? Why is it so necessary?
Their belief is that if you attain a certain level, people won't look down on you, which comes back. So it's a chicken and egg sort of mentality, and that your future is secure. So that's their belief, that your future is secure. And you often hear, if you don't want to be, like the garbage guy, you better study.
Yeah. If you don't want to
They'll
end up
say
working in McDonald's, you better do
road
your work and
sweepers
stuff like that.
They look down on them.
Yeah, which is a terrible.
Is it very narrow-minded?
Yeah.
That's a good comment that Shaun just made. Isn't that just terribly narrow-minded?
It is. That's why today we're talking about diversity. We're talking about inclusivity now.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's discuss that more on the Big Show TV. You can join us on our Facebook page at 1FM913. For now, though, if you don't want to join us on Facebook, here's some music. Okay,
Jerry,
so
When I was growing up, also I had a lot of ex-girlfriends, like parents. So I didn't go to like university, right? So I went to like ITE, and they looked down on that as well.
On that, yeah.
Yeah. So they were like, "Oh, okay, you study this, and this is your education level. It's okay. Next time when you grow up, you can be like a contractor or like an aircon.
that
man,
must be
kind of
your
thing."
future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, but why is that only the options I have?
Yeah.
Right. So
But I'm sure at the time, I mean, now you say that, but at the time you must have felt pretty shitty, right? I mean, low on
always,
yourself.
I know where they're coming from, and I know how narrow-minded people can be. So I just smile through and just like, oh, okay, thank you, uncle. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very hurtful. So when we put that divide, right, it is very, very hurtful. And the person that is kind of just dishing out all these comments don't know how painful it is for the other person. I was just having a conversation with someone, and the Yellow Ribbon Project.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we always say give this people a second chance, they deserve a second chance. Why are we doing all these? Because precisely people are very scared. They're very scared of a group of people that they don't know about, that they have set perceptions. So they have already cast them in a certain way and in stone. So it's hard to shift away from that mindset.
And people are usually afraid of things that they don't know, right?
Or don't understand.
Or
Yes.
don't understand, yeah.
Yes.
Humans like
yes.
to judge.
Oh my goodness, stereotypes are
love to
everywhere,
judge.
yeah.
Well, Jerry, this is
Yep.
what Joel said on our Facebook
Yep.
page. He says, the truth is that we all make summary judgments according to our past experience. The difference is how much of our judgment is expressed to the public.
It might not be publicly okay. So some people are very overt in how they express themselves, but it doesn't have to be very overt. Like a little kid that might be screaming on the train or on the bus, and clearly maybe he is on the spectrum. You can see he's on the spectrum. And you see people just moving away.
Yeah.
So they're not very overt. They didn't say get out of the train. They didn't say anything at all. But the
Body
very fact
language.
they're pulling the kids away, or they're like sneaking away. And I love to watch these people sneak because they think that nobody knows it. But the whole experience of it isn't pleasant for the person receiving it.
How about people that sort of judge by skin color? I mean, that's a lot of that happens as well. I mean, you talk about
The whole world, yeah.
Yeah, you talk
that's
about
everywhere.
especially in Singapore. I'm not being judgmental or stereotypical, but a lot of our foreign workers that do construction and stuff like that typically are from certain countries, and you see parents, pull their kids away from areas like that, not because it's dangerous that they're walking under a ladder or anything like that, just because there's a whole group of foreign workers nearby. I've seen a lot of that, and it's very sad that people just don't realize that we're all just part. I don't want to sound like Miss Universe, but all part of the human race. Do you know what I mean? We all breathe the same air. We all bleed red blood. No one is better than anyone else. So why do people continue in 2022 to still have an attitude like that?
I guess it's what goes through their heads, right? So different people have different opinions. So if you ask them, many of them will be caught. And some of the answers are quite interesting because some people will say, oh, but they drink too much, or, they fight. They're very aggressive. And it may be because of one or two fights that break out in Little India or some place.
Yeah.
But then you tell them, yeah, but our youth also riot. We also have kopitiam uncles killing each other and stabbing each other. We don't run away from the kopitiam uncles, right? But they cannot see past their own thoughts. So they are stuck in their thoughts, where they are wearing lenses that are very myopic.
Yeah. So how do we change that? As a society, how do we become more inclusive and more diverse in our thinking, especially?
Okay, so there are a few different areas that we can focus on. And all of us in the workplace. So workplace actually have started focusing on diversity and diversity and inclusion, D&I. So they are looking at this because they have realized that it has increased their productivity. And why is that so? Because then they're able to focus on 5 areas: experiences, talents, skills, opinions, and personality. So these are some areas that are very useful, and we need different experiences, different talents to make up that organization. We need different skill sets.
So you look beyond the education, beyond the socio standing, beyond the race, the ethnicity, and where you come from, and everything else. Yeah.
I say the cure to helping people not be so narrow-minded anymore is internships. Yeah, so if you are racist against like foreign workers, then that's your internship. Again, the next 3 to 6 months,
you go there,
you're gonna be a foreign worker.
No, that is true.
Stay in the dormitories with them.
You put yourself in someone. That's literally putting yourself in someone else's shoes and seeing how they live and how they communicate.
But that'll never happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
That-
of course,
that'll
like
never
what
happen.
will happen in the world will be
in a perfect
place.
world, it should happen.
Yeah.
But our young ones should go out and not quite, stay in the dorms. But I thought that in the past we were encouraged to go out and take on part-time jobs before we went to university or during university.
Yeah.
So, I was a Bosang cheese promoter at one time. I was holding a plate of Bosang cheese. Bosang cheese. We get to experience so many different things, and it's really interesting because it opens up your world to so many different people, personalities, and it broadens your horizon.
I highly encourage teenagers to take up holiday jobs, but especially in the service industry, like retail, restaurants and stuff. Not so much in an office doing admin work because you don't really speak to anyone there, but out there so you work on your people skills, you work on everything.
When we come back, I've got something to say about all of this from a parent's point of view.
Yeah, I don't think so much is the kids. The kids are like social media helps us a lot. We're very woke that way.
We're very
people,
woke. Okay. Good morning. You're listening to The Big Show with Glenn, Angel, FD, and Shaun. And today we're talking about being woke through diversity and inclusivity.
Okay, Shaun, for the older ones, explain being woke.
Being woke means the ability to understand different situations and different peoples and seeing things through a lens that helps you recognize that you're not the only person in the world.
So being diverse and inclusive.
Yeah, being inclusive, being diverse, understanding,
open-minded.
Being open-minded and everything like that.
So here's
good.
Here's what some people I'm sure are sitting at home and thinking, and I tend to agree with you. A lot of these problems, if they happen with the young, are not the young's problem. It's the parents.
The environment, right?
Certain words. Wow, your friend China.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
How come you got so many Ane friends? Huh? Why all your friends all mutts? I'm sorry, folks. I'm just being honest.
No, it's true.
I'm just being honest. This is being said Some parents out there, don't deny you do it.
And if you hang around with a certain type of people from a certain race, you're going to end up smoking, you're going to end up gambling, you're going to end up
Stereotypes and
drinking. You know, I did grow up with stuff like that, not from my parents, but I did hear of people saying stuff
and
like that.
And it starts from there,
Yeah.
doesn't it, Jerry? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it starts from the adults because the children are a blank canvas. They actually don't know anything until we put labels on the different environments, different people, and attribute them to whether it's positively or negatively. So we are hugely to be at blame.
Yeah, because I've heard kids tell their parents, "Oh, I made a new friend at school," and the first question is, "Oh, what is he? Chinese, Malay, Indian?"
What
you know,
difference?
and what do his parents do? Like, what difference does it make? Your child has made a friend at school as long as that's a good kid.
Yeah.
That's all you should be concerned about. It should be more about, so what did you guys discuss? What does your friend like to do? You know, is your friend any good with, you know, sports or whatever it is? Get to know the personality and not everything else behind it.
Yeah, and it's very sad. So in schools, I mean, they are trying to expand or be more inclusive. So they have more children with learning disorders being in the school environment, and you will be blown away. And again, from the adult's perspective, right? Blown away because these children are so kind and so compassionate. It puts us adults to shame.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, and you see the children looking and watching the needs of the child, of the classmate, and then going up to the classmate and say, "Do you need to go to the toilet? I accompany you. You know, let's go together to buy recess." And they just volunteer themselves without us even allocating a buddy. And these are the little ones in primary school.
Yep.
But you have parents coming in and say, "How can this kid be in school? This kid is disruptive. My kid cannot learn. You know, this child is just disrupting the class."
Yeah.
So I to a certain extent agree that sometimes we put on all these lenses and we're so fixated and sometimes even bigoted in our mindsets and our values.
I like what you said about children are blank canvases and anything that they learn is what we teach them. True. So, I mean, if we have any parent listening in, just have a think about that as we play you some music and join us on The Big Show TV. If you
all need to be honest with ourselves, and I have a habit of being honest on this show, particularly with Jerry.
We love it.
I got taught a lesson the other day, and it's exactly about bigotry. My wife was off dancing and it was taking a little longer than usual, and I was waiting for her downstairs. This is outside the shopping mall, so I'm just hanging around. And I'm going to mention race. 4 Indian guys walk up and they're hanging around near me. And my first thought was,
hold on to your bag.
Oh no. My first thought was, oh no. And you know I carry my sling bag.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hold on to your bag. My first thought, right? Until one of them turned around and went, "Hey sir, you're here, why? You're waiting for somebody." And we struck up a conversation that lasted 45 minutes.
Wow. Took that long, huh?
45 minutes.
She was that late?
So,
That's right.
yeah, it dragged on. So we struck up this conversation for 45 minutes. They were talking about what it was like living in dorms. They were asking me what I did for a living, blah, blah. They just wanted to get to know someone new.
Aw, that's so sweet.
But my first reaction
They're
was,
gonna rob you.
Oh no, hold on to your bag.
Yeah.
Out and out bigotry.
How do you feel about that, though?
I feel bloody awful.
Ashamed, right?
I feel bloody awful. But it taught me never to just judge a book by its cover.
No.
Just because the guy is Indian doesn't mean a damn thing.
Just because he's a foreign worker and doesn't have as much money as you or something
It
doesn't mean he's
a
going
thing.
to rob you. Yeah.
It was a horrible thing. It was really, really horrible. But I got taught a really good lesson.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these, like kids, I know growing up, kids, teenagers, even young adults, we have a lot of programs like voluntary work and charities and programs where we are assigned to, like, we're going to help out the dormitories, we bring food to them and stuff like that.
Do they have that?
Yeah, we still, I mean, COVID took a break, but
Right,
before that we were
okay.
doing a lot of these
So this
kind
was
of
for the
things.
youth.
Yeah, young people, I mean, they're generally more free with their time because they don't
Yeah,
have work, right?
yeah.
So we are involved in a lot of like these outreaches and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So we are exposed to a lot of different race and people and different kinds of living. But I think the older
I think adults need to do that.
need to
Yeah.
get involved in some of these like outreaches and charities and volunteer work as well.
I totally agree. Yeah.
I actually have an opinion about that because,
Okay.
and I'm very torn. On the one hand, I love, going out and helping people and doing charity. But actually, I do want to challenge everybody. Doing charity does it mean that we are in a more privileged position? Does that tip that power differently? Because in my experience with the migrant workers and some of these dark-skinned men, right, they can be the kindest people, and when they're in a community, when my little girl was much younger and I was carrying her on the trains, they would stand up and let my little girl sit,
Yeah.
right? So, why not give them an opportunity to give us something? Right? Or share the space rather than charity, thinking of them as charity objects of recipients of charity, where they are placed at a more disadvantaged position because already we are prejudiced by thinking that, I don't know, it was an opinion, but like I say, I'm really, really torn because I do a fair amount of work also with charity.
I mean, that's also beyond skin color. I mean, people see people with tattoos as people who must have some
gangster.
bad in their lives or be gangsters, or and then I think there was a certain saying about how a priest can be the worst person in the world because he's a pedophile, but then you get the man covered head to toe in tattoos who's the kindest soul on earth.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So not talking about you, Sean.
Oh, yes.
You were gonna be a priest with tattoos.
That's right. Yeah, my tattoos are very cute and it's all cartoons.
So I think I don't know where it comes from. It comes from the media. It comes from, whether it's social media, it comes from movies, where we're told that people who look a certain way, the villains look a certain way. They're
Back
all
in the day,
back in the day.
yeah.
I think still now also, it's still
But now
portrayed
they-
as
now you get flame for it.
The Asian woman is always like the prostitute or the subservient or something like that. So it's always been a role that's been portrayed in the movies as well. So sometimes you can't blame the children for growing up with that, but then you need the parents to also tell them that this should not be stereotyped.
A lot of local stuff, yes.
What do you mean?
Here in Singapore, when you do like productions and stuff,
Yeah.
we still fall into the very
Stereotype.
stereotypical,
Yeah.
like
The Indian man is sweeping the
yeah,
road.
you must
or
be,
yeah,
you must be this character.
Yeah,
you must
yeah,
be that
yeah,
character.
yeah.
You play it, you are only allowed to play this character.
and the Chinese
Very
girl is
typecast.
serving
Okay.
the beer
Very
and
typecast,
whatnot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even when it comes down to your private hire, I've got a really good friend the other day, sees me, first thing he says was, wow, my Grab driver, white guy lah.
Yeah, so
So what?
it's unusual, but so what?
So what?
Yeah.
Why? Why is this?
Why do
he's
you
a-
see it through that lens?
Why?
right?
Why do you see him through that lens? He's a white guy who's a Grab driver? No, he's a Grab driver.
I mean, you don't go to like say LA or New York, jump into a cab and go, "Oh, that's an Indian guy," because or that's a white guy, because it's like you see so many different types of races in there, and Singapore is so cosmopolitan. We're already so mixed. So why not have a Caucasian driving a car?
What do you think is the reason for all of this, Jerry?
Because white doesn't mean more superior, right? Which is what it started out as.
Is it something left over from the past? Something we haven't gotten over, which is why we classify people like this?
It could be. I mean, but on a very broader spectrum, right? The brain and the world, the world is already so chaotic. The brain tries to make sense of it. So we do need compartments. We do need labels to help ourselves. But these are great. I'm not saying that don't label, but when the labels become dangerous or the labels hurt, that's when we need to rethink and relook at our labels and how we approach it.
Don't you agree though that 90% of labels hurt?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I mean, it goes into the beauty industry as well. You know, they're always saying whiten your skin. White is better. Your armpits are too dark.
True.
You need a whitening thing for that. It's everywhere.
Whitewashing.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
You just reminded me about a case that I saw yesterday, and she came very, very broken. I mean, she's already in her 30s, 40s, close to 40, and in the banking industry, not from Singapore, so from Australia. And I was appalled at how she was describing that being a woman in the banking industry, it is so tough because you are being discriminated against. And if you you work your way to the top, it's almost like fighting a battle at every different level. And even so, being the only woman on the board, you get shot at, you get mocked at by the males, and they don't even look at your abilities, and you get bullied.
Well done to this woman, though. Let's continue a little bit more about that as we go back on air. Good morning. It's The Big Show, and you're listening to Glenn, Angel, FD, and Shaun this Tuesday morning, and it is Therapy Tuesday, and we have Dr. Jerry of the Therapy Room with us, is talking about diversity and inclusivity. And Jerry, we were just on The Big Show TV talking about whitewashing, but you are now talking about a gender issue that women seem to face in the workplace, about a certain client that you have. Can you just take us through that?
Yeah, so she came and she was very broken after fighting. Well, she feels like it was fighting a battle for, more than 10 plus years in the banking industry, right? And, at every level, she worked her way up, but she feels like it is a battle all the way up, and she is the only woman on the board, but still being bullied by the men. So it got to a point where she's really broken and very tired. So that's why she came. I mean, I really, really appreciate the fact that her husband was so supportive and say, please come and sit with someone and talk to someone. So yeah, I just saw her for the first time, but I was so appalled at the state of affairs in that organization.
Carry on.
I think when it comes to women, they need to be given a break, and a big break at that, because I have worked under male bosses and under female bosses, and I count that as an advantage now that I run my own company, because a woman runs things very differently from a man. And when you've had, and you've just got to accept that they have a different system. It doesn't mean it's not as good. Work within their system, and you will find out how good it is. It's just, learn to adapt. Yeah, you just need to learn to adapt and not go, oh, this is not going to work, because it's not the way a man would do it.
I think if women were the heads of state for every country in the world, there would be no wars. Because, women automatically are more maternal, we're more compassionate, and we have more empathy.
Yeah.
Rather than men.
Fight.
Sorry?
Women will still fight.
Oh, women will still fight against other women, absolutely. But I think there's a lot more behind it. Like fantastic for this client of yours that came to you, and she is the only woman on the board. To all the men on the board with her who cannot stand her being there, that's just a lack of self-esteem. That is just them saying, "Oh my goodness, how come another one of ours isn't in your seat?" I think that's a terribly narrow-minded vision that they have.
That's it's the boys' club mentality.
Yeah,
it's very horrible. It creates a lot of inequality.
Yeah,
yes.
So you put a bunch of boys together. We only talk about certain things, and we only think a certain way.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be allowed to do that.
But the interesting thing about that, Jerry, is though, the boys' club has been around for hundreds of years, even though man has evolved.
And we've seen two world wars.
It's something that never seems to change.
They're like, you guys are like cockroaches, you know?
Yeah.
Why?
You guys,
Step,
you,
look at
guys
our
you guys have been around since like the dinosaur ages, the prehistoric ages, and we can't kill you.
No, but
We need to get rid of you.
We gotta find a way.
when we come back, I want to ask Jerry the question: why is this so? Why is that boys' club? Why is it still around? Why is it never changed?
Okay, yeah, why is it?
Why is it? Is it that insecurity, that
Yes.
lack of self-confidence
Yes.
that Angel talks about?
All of the above.
Yes.
No, I mean, there's boys' club, there's girls' club also, right? So the women, they sit around, they chat about different things also. So it's okay to have groups. What I mean is, or what we should be looking at is not to exclude anyone in certain situations. So go ahead and, band together, share your interests. So interest groups. So boys clubs are just like interest groups. Girls clubs are just like interest groups. But beyond that, when you're doing other things, when you're working, when you're studying, when you're outside in the community, get along, don't just shut out everyone. The boys club or the girls club doesn't permeate into every nook and cranny of society.
But I think
And
it's
should
very,
not.
but it's very archaic thinking. Like you were saying earlier, it should be based on personality, based on talent, based on interest. Like you just said, interest group, because a
Yes.
boy could be interested in everything that the girls are talking about, so the boy can
Yes.
also join that club.
Yeah.
Not based on anything else.
But you see this. I said this to a group of my friends the other day, and they said, "What's it like?" There's Shaun, there's you, there's Angel, there's Shalini. What's it like
And
working
don't forget
like that?
Glenn. He's only been gone
no,
2 days.
And Glenn, yeah,
Who's that? What?
forgot about it. And they said, "What's it like?" And I went, Angel and Shalini are just one of the boys. And they looked at me and went, "What?" And I didn't see what was wrong with it.
Just like we always talk about you guys being one of the girls. Yes.
Well,
That's true.
I-
We are.
Yeah.
It's just
And
one of the team.
It's one of the
Yeah,
team, and an
yeah.
expression is they're one of the boys.
Yeah.
But they suddenly felt that,
But it's not possible.
no, but they felt that it was wrong,
Or they felt that there were certain things that you boys couldn't say around us, which is not true.
which is not true because
Yeah.
you're one of the boys.
Yeah.
I think the boys club, girls club thing is okay if you have groups like what Dr. Jerry mentioned.
Interests.
Right? Yeah, you
Like
got
you're
interest groups and-
crocheting or like talking about cars
whatever
or
it is,
whatever,
right?
yeah.
The problem happens when we have a mentality that says one is better than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then everything goes to
Haywire.
It goes haywire.
Yeah.
We've got a comment on our Facebook page from Mary Chin who says, "Look at how successful Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is at running her country, New Zealand. The point here is she is one of a tiny number, and there should be more."
Well, she's successful because she was chosen, again, to Jerry's point, for her talent and her
Yes.
capabilities,
Yes.
not because she was a woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jacinda Ardern could have very well been a man as well. It just so happens that in society, men are looked at first for the higher up positions before women are. That's what it is.
And you can't deny that. I can't deny that. It is
Men
the way
are
it is.
looked at first. And maybe also there are more men that come forward because women are afraid to step up.
If that's the case, then whose problem is that?
No,
Jerry?
I don't think it's a woman problem. I think it's because, maybe, okay, not a woman problem, but maybe a little bit of a lack of self-confidence, which is also not the woman's problem. It's the society's problem.
societal problem.
Yeah, it's
Is
not
it?
a society's
problem.
problem.
It's
Is it,
the
Jerry?
wokeness.
It's the
Well,
wokeness. There you go.
society does shape the way we are, but it is also up to us what we want to do and how we want to, what kind of roles we want to give ourselves. I mean, as Angel was talking, I was thinking of, how many famous chefs are men. But who cooks for us? Our grandmothers, our
Yep.
mothers.
Exactly.
And none of them become famous chefs.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you ask any famous chef who they were inspired by, they're like,
Their
my
mother.
mother.
My mother, my grandmother.
Yeah, always. Oh,
Yeah.
I was in my grandmother's kitchen, this and
Yeah.
that. Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know whether, not that we don't know, sometimes society just reminds a certain gender to remain in the kitchen and not step out and not be entrepreneur or not, I don't know. So it is really up to us, right, to put in that effort to break that mold and step out of your comfort zone, because it is stepping out of the comfort zone if we want to do anything that breaks this stereotype, but we have full control over that.
Break the mold.
It's quite interesting because that's exactly what Joel said. Just because this lady had problems being bullied at the bank by a group of men doesn't mean all men behave that way.
No,
and just because and we shouldn't judge all men that way, as we shouldn't judge all women based on a few women. But that's what we do. That's what society does.
Yeah. I can't say I'm not judgmental. I don't think any of us can say that.
You can't.
That first impression. But I feel like, it's okay to be judgmental it's not okay, but there is always that moment of judgmental and then just like get rid of it.
I think it's human nature to judge.
Yeah.
The thing we have to remember is before we judge others, we judge ourselves.
Let's look at 5 things to be more inclusive, Shaun. Why don't we do that?
Yeah,
5 things.
You got
one minute.
Okay. Throw away all assumptions. Listen mindfully. We've gone through the 5 steps of honest conversation. If you've forgotten, go back to that podcast. Know your strength or know your privileges. To have that curious mind to want to find out more about somebody else's strength, and then challenge stereotypes.
Okay,
I like
love
the
that
way
you went through that. You have to go through it again.
Yeah. That was a summary. Now you can break it down for us.
Break it down for us in just a short while, Jerry.
This is our last one anyway. So
last talk set. Okay. 5 things that will hopefully help us become more aware, more inclusive, and more diverse in our thinking.
Yes, so the first thing we want to do is to throw away our assumptions. So whatever that we've grown up with, whatever that we know, we want to throw it away, and then we listen to the other person. So doing that mindful listening or having that honest conversation like what FD had with the
workers.
With the workers, yes, with the workers. So the 5 steps of honest conversation, we had covered it last year before, I think. So watch the podcast. Know your privileges. I would say know your strengths also. The 4th one, be curious. So let's be curious to try and find out more about the other person. And what do we want to find out? We want to find out about their strengths. So knowing our strength, we want to find out their strength. So we give ourselves stability, and then we find out about the other person. The last one is to challenge the stereotype. So breaking out of the mold isn't so easy. We try to challenge stereotypes, and Angel put it really, really well. We try to exclude it from our heads. We can only try.
Yeah, and parents, if you're listening, don't ask your kids what race their new friends are, or what their parents do, or where they live, and how much they paid for whatever it is. I don't think it's important. What's important is your child has found a new friend that they like, and and that works for all us adults as well, right?
Yeah, ask them whether they like the new Thor movie or not.
Yeah,
if they do, then they're good.
I don't. I'm sorry.
That's why I waste time.
So you can't be friends with FD then.
Yeah, now we have this riff. Papa.
And he's so white as well.
Oh, here we go.
Check your privilege,
Any final words, Dr. Jerry?
Yes, a favorite of mine, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And she says, I am only resolved to act in that manner which will, in my own opinion, constitute my happiness without reference to you or any person so wholly unconnected with me. So that's us having control over what we choose to think and do.
Fantastic.
Nice
Always
one,
love how you end it, Dr. Jerry. Thank you so much.
No worries. See all of you next week. No,
Okay.
is it next week? Yes.
Next week. Yes.
Just come.
Please come back next
We'll
week.
find
Yes. See you then. Have a good
See
week.
you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Jerry.